Alright, sorry about that. I had to cut back in here. Let's see if I can clear that up. There we go. Alright, so there's that little article there. Uh, and then here's another one. Oh, this is exciting here. Um, I didn't know there was an actual exchange, a real live physical exchange over in New York. It looks like they're having a heyday over there. Now they can openly do this without fear from the banks or the regulators. You know, they could use their bank accounts. They could openly exchange, and not, you know, looks like people are doing a couple $100 here and there, but you can get up there to a couple thousand to a few million if you want. I mean, if you're really getting heavy in it. So another thing, I might go to New York and check that out. Let's see and more of this, which I was surprised. I didn't know there was a pit. I thought we were getting away from the pits, but maybe there's some people out there that still like to go up on that pit. All right, so here's some news update in now that if you've been watching my episodes, you could clearly understand how this is a financial instrument and what it can be. It can also be a, theoretically a real estate. You know, um, the usage of Bitcoin is going anything that is considered an asset class can you can interchange with Bitcoin. So anything, real estate, property. If you've been watching my episodes, you'll realize that let me just go back up here and we'll just talk about it. That this price is representative of the face value of the legal tender, which is this is U.S. dollar, and then I'm just pointing here, like imagine a Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin has no face value whatsoever, and you can use this concept, the dollar being pegged to the Bitcoin, or any currency being pegged to one Bitcoin, and then how universal that one Bitcoin is to every asset related to whatever country that will take this legal tender. This is U.S. dollar, so now you take one Bitcoin, say its legal tender is worth X amount or whatever amount because Bitcoin has no face value. You don't even have to go by this price. You can go by any price. Usually it will be based off of some a multiple of indices or a formula based on one or the other, or multiple indices. Okay, and you should know what your one Bitcoin can buy, the purchasing power. And not only that, okay, but just like anything else that I've shown you in real estate, let me move over to okay. Uh, Here's another thing. I mean, you can do hyper trading here. All right, you can do what do they call that? A Tesseract trade, if there's such a thing. Like you could do inside out, see all around trade. I mean, you could do whatever. You can get a threesome, foursome, orgy, whatever. You could do all sorts of weird things with this with the Bitcoin. But my point is, when I say hyper trade, what you're doing is you're taking your Bitcoin, okay, the value of Bitcoin, and not only does this include like groceries or shopping, this you can use this concept with other assets. So when the price is high, like $1,000 or whatever, uh, you can trade your Bitcoin for another asset class. All right, for another asset in any other country, if you can legally do it. So what I'm trying to say is, you're not. All right, let's put it this way. Before you were forced, okay, if you had stocks or if you had a house, you were forced to convert it back to U.S. dollar, and then buy something else again. Now you don't even have to do that because it's pegged. your Bitcoin, all right, the dollar or the currency is now pegged to the Bitcoin. So with the Bitcoin would reflect some price in which you can buy other assets. So you no longer have to use the fiat currency anymore to buy an asset. You can use your Bitcoin because your Bitcoin is a prepaid credit worth more than this instrument of debt, because we're only using it because it's legal tender and it says it's public and private, you have to take it. But with Bitcoin, it's people can accept it as payment or they may not, either way. But with money you have to accept it. All right, so that does a lot. So you're not stuck with just using a paper money that will lose its value. All right, and remember, it's only worth its face value. So the more they're printing, it says 100, but in reality what happens is everything that doesn't have a face value, like food, gas, just about everything that you buy that doesn't have a face value, that someone can just put a price tag on it, well, those things go up in price, but the face value of your dollars don't. If it says 100, it's still worth 100. It's well, I hope some people understand that. So you could do some hyper trades. I'll just finish what I'm saying. I don't want to make this too long. So you expend your Bitcoin here to buy a house. What you can do is, if you have the money, and Bitcoin's all about credit. It's not about getting a loan to get money to buy Bitcoins, okay? It's about, okay, do you have the money or don't you? We're not living our life of debt anymore. Remember that. We're living our life through credit. So this has all been prepaid. So, but if I'm assuming if you invested early, and if you have 100 coins, well, you have $100,000. You could probably buy a house somewhere. If they're willing to take Bitcoins. If not, if you can somehow cash out, and it's worth 100,000, you can buy that house. And if you've seen my episodes before, if you are a user or / investor, and this is your business, you can cash out of your Bitcoins. You don't have to realize any gains. Okay, you may realize the money, but you don't have to realize the gains. And you can put that money into your bank account. And remember, it says you can take it. You need to convert your virtual currency into a legal tender, and you can have it in your bank account for future needs. All right, which maybe you want to buy a house. Well, you can take that money and buy your house. Now, how that house is deemed is kind of different. You kind of have to know what you're doing, but again, seek some. It doesn't hurt to pay some money, or if you're going to find an accountant or a lawyer who's willing to take Bitcoins, just pay him the Bitcoins. Talk to the person for whatever, and 1 hour. I think half an hour is free. So anything after that, you could talk to a person 1 hour and a half. You want to get charged for an hour? I don't know. I mean, go out there, learn something, because you could buy a house here, and if you have the money in your exchange or in your account or wherever, if you have the money to buy, you can buy it at a lower price, replenish your Bitcoin, but it costs you less to replenish the Bitcoin from when you expended your Bitcoin to buy a house, if that makes sense. So you could do that with this trade. So you could do some hyper trading. You can buy something, and based on what you bought with that Bitcoin, you can play on the price action, either in the real world or at the exchange. Okay, if you can find somebody who wants to buy 100 Bitcoins at $1,000, good for you. You could do that in the real world, get real money, get real cash, take that cash, go buy property, and I mean, you could do a lot of things. That property would be considered an investment property, but it doesn't stop you from living in it. All right, it's an investment property, yes, but it doesn't stop you from living in it. Okay, so and then you can take when the price goes down, You buy in. What's this price? Uh, so what would, let's just theoretically say, okay, let's just say that's 1,000. You found someone who would buy it for 1,000 per Bitcoin, and you bought a house with it. You own it free and clear. And then what's the price here? And then you put in a limit order, or you may have put in a market order, maybe when the price got down there, and paid $80,000 to replenish what you've expended up here at 100,000. So there's a $20,000 difference that you could have played on either in the real world or at the exchange. And here's the thing. I mean, this happened in a matter of one day, and basically you've already made $20,000. Your house is still worth whatever you bought it for, and then some, if you just keep living in it for a while. So there's some hyper trades you can do with this, is my point. So if you know how to maximize that, that's good for you guys. Let me see here. Where am I? Okay. All right. What's this one? Okay, we've already talked about that. Okay, we're on to this. Oh yeah. Okay, so Bitcoin gets into real estate, and this is a little bit more. Real estate jumpstart. Real estate startup jumps on Bitcoin train. Now, I don't know if this is going to be like a real estate investment trust that they're talking about, or if they're, if they're really talking about some real, real estate property, some real estate property. I'd rather take the real stuff than any fun real estate investment trust or anything like that. But, and then here's another one. These guys are now going to be. I think Bitcoin's getting some really good traction here because they've got some the money beat instead of the money beat. They'll do the bit beat. So I guess it's really gaining some traction with all the different financial markets, which is good, I guess. Which I figured this was going to happen once they made that ruling. It's just going to go gangbusters from now on. So let's take a look at some charts here and see what's happening. So here's Mt. Gox. I've cleaned up the line a little bit, so now it's a little bit more clear to see because it's pretty much broken that line, and it's looks like it's definitely going to finish below that line. So it's slowly kind of been breaking this support line. So it's, as you can see, it's already touched this support, this downtrending support. There's different channels and layers and everything. So it's already touched that. It's going up and down here, but it's really getting a little volatile here because if I zoom in on the 1 hour, you can see these little jabs here that really has come into play here, and if you look at the bands here, it's still trending down. So this is Mt. Gox, okay, and I've drawn some other lines here, just simple other lines to give you some reference. This is from the high to this point, giving me this line, and then what's going on here? It seems to be a resistant line right here, and as you can see, it won't go any. But if you look at it, it's a downtrending line. It's trending down. So for some reason, it's just not letting this thing just go above that price. And eventually, these two will meet, and I'd like to see what happens. Of course, this is a 6-hour Bitstamp, but I also did that for BitC as well. Okay, BitC, and this is from the high of December to this high right here, and it's making this as a resistant line. And if I was gonna do anything, I'd probably do something with BitC because it's got like $100 before it reaches this top resistance. Everybody else, Bitstamp, Mt. Gox is already at the top resistance. Bitsy is like about $60-50 away. I'm sorry, Bitstamp is about $60-50 away. Bitsy, on the other hand, is about $100. So if there was ever going to be a breakout move, I'd probably put in some buy orders with BitC, and plus I'm starting to really like the bands in the shorter time frames. Let's see if I can see it gets there. So you're starting to see a little bit more band, and the spreads are a little bit more wider, so you're getting a lot of play action here. So, anyways, let me cut out here and cut back in. Just hold on. All right. So basically, the bands are a little bit better. Now the other issue you're going to come into when you're trading is the volumes have dramatically dropped, and so you may have to pull out. Before I was using the 15 minutes, and there was so much movement in the price that you could use a 15-minute, but now that the volumes have dropped, you may have to pull back to like about an hour to see what's going on with the price action. And so you see this is BitC here. So let me pull back to the 6 hour. And so let me move on to this right here, and this is what I've done here. I've changed the time period in the candlestick to a 10-day, 2-hour period. This is Mt. Gox, weighted average 10 and 25. So let's see here. Okay, so let's have a look here. Let's have a look there. So if you see the two lines here, this is the 10-day, and then on the top is the 25, or the 10 candlestick and the 25 candlestick period. So it's going a little wild here as far as these weird spikes and everything. I guess a lot of people are trying to figure out what's going on. A lot of moves, a lot of market orders here. There was a $150 or 150, like 160 Bitcoin buy order as just as much as there was a sell order. So there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of traders here. There seems to be some traders here who are positioning themselves for whatever reason. So there is, but if you look at this band, you'll see that this is continuing on to a downtrend. If you had a buy order here, you probably did pretty good, because by the time the price does reach down a little bit lower, it's probably running out of sellers and nothing left but the buyers to come in and pick up on the price. So sometimes when things slow down, my point is that you have to extend the days and the time period to figure out what's going on with the overall trend. And let me do a Bitstamp as well. Bitstamp, and it's not much of a decline, but it is still showing the same thing, where the 10 candlestick average, weighted average, and the 25 weighted average is obviously flipped over, showing a downtrend here. Not much on the band or the gap. Yeah, let me see here. Get this going. Okay, there we go. And so again, lower volumes, lower movements. You may have to pull out a little bit more to see whether it's a downtrending or if it's uptrending. And so it's still downtrending. I wish I could do BitC, but basically, let's go on here. For some reason, like I told you before, BitC kind of disappears for a while, then they'll come back a little later for whatever reason. But if you look at Bitstamp, the volume is decreasing. Now there could be different reasons why. First of all, since the ruling, I think more and more people may be openly trading in the real world, like physically, face to face, peer to peer, as Bitcoin was meant to be. So there's probably less activity going on at the exchanges themselves. All right. So more and more people are doing peer-to-peer transactions versus just transactions over the exchange, um, which is fine. I mean, I do it all the time. If I'm not at, trading, if I'm not trading at the exchanges, I'm trading from peer to peer. If I'm not trading peer to peer, I'm trading at the exchanges. So nothing wrong with that. So that's the update on the chart analysis. Ooh, am I getting a dip? Nope. Okay. So let's back up here and figure out, now that we're looking at a little cleaner set of lines here. So I think we can forget about this uptrending channel, just from this price action. I think this is not an uptrending channel at all anymore. It's gone sideways, but I do have concerns for this line. This is a very strong resistance, because if you know where this line came from, you know that it was the top, and this is the high. After that, the second highest. After that, first high. And this is the line that's kind of been drawn here, where it has to break in order for this to go up to a back to an uptrend. But it may do that. It may just roll around here. I mean, that's very common. But so far, kind of like what I've been saying since here. I've been saying that since here, and that's been a couple days. That this would hit up, and then just it's on a downtrend. It's going to hit this resistant line, and it's already hit this bottom support on a downtrending channel. So it's not really good that it did that, but it's more of a sign that it's probably going to slowly work its way down. I don't think it's going to just pop up here and then just take off. So that's my opinion on it. But it did hit this support, but it doesn't mean that it's going to go up. It's more likely this is a sign that it's more down, more of a downtrending on the price there. If it does break, like I said, it has to break this, high, and then has to break that high. So just hard to do right now. So anyways, that concludes this episode. Feel free to like, dislike, or leave a comment, even a video response. Until next time, stay tuned.